Okay, welcome everybody. There's quite a crowd out there. Hope you can find a seat somewhere. Welcome to our November meeting. And at this point in time, we've been in session, executive session, and so we will start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then next, we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Been properly moved and seconded. We're ready for a vote.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Katz?
Yes. And then we have some recognitions to go through tonight. We would like to honor the staff members with military service, and I assume you have that.
Sure. If the board would like to go in front, we do have some certificates. And then for the first time, we're really excited to offer or to recognize members of our district who have served in the military in different branches. And really, we have to give a huge shout out to Melissa for her work in this area to help coordinate and help our buildings become Purple Star buildings as well. And she's just kind of been a champion for us in that way. So Melissa, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I stand here before you today to honor and express our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to the military families and veterans within our school district. On behalf of our Board of Education, the administration, our Purple Star schools, and our special guest Pete, who's here with us today, he is from the state of Ohio, MIC3 Commissioner. It's our privilege and honor to recognize and appreciate the immense sacrifices that our veterans within our school district have made while serving our nation. So would you, if you're here tonight, while we call out your names, if you wouldn't mind coming up, getting your certificate. Pete's got a special coin thank you, and then I think the boards are gonna shake your hands. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say the. Okay, I'm going to say the names so that Melissa can hand out the certificates. So the first one is Mark Fensel. Our next honoree is Joe Crozier. Next is Michael Belli. Next, we have Brandon Kohler. And last, James Dowd. And then we also had a couple members that couldn't be present, Michelle Bashnagel, Tim Thompson, and one of our SROs, Bob Bartholomew.
Mr. Langhouse, I think.
It's okay.
I don't know how all these veterans older than me have more hair than me. I don't understand that. But honored to be here representing our governor, the Honorable Mike DeWine. So it's not just Veterans Day in this month, but it's Military Family Appreciation Month. So the governor has declared throughout our state Military Family Appreciation Month. And I won't read the whole thing, but I definitely want to note some high points that is relevant to our community through Purple Star Schools. Ohio is home to 10,207 active duty service members, along with 35,179 National Guard Reserve duty service members, totaling 45,389 military families. Whereas Ohio, which is home to 33,147 military children, founded the Purple Star School Pre-K-12 and Collegiate Purple Star initiatives in 2015-16, 2021-22, respectively. Whereas today, Ohio hosts 601 Purple Star schools, including everyone in here in Marysville, and 51 collegiate Purple Star campuses. Now, therefore, we, Mike DeWine and John Husted, Governor and Lieutenant Governor of Ohio, State of Ohio, do hereby recognize Military Family Appreciation Month this 21st day of November 2024 in Marysville. Signed, Governor Mike DeWine. Congratulations. And not every school and district is Purple Star. It takes a collective effort of locals to do this. So you as a community should be proud, because what we did in Ohio was then replicated by Virginia. And I imagine these gentlemen served once upon a time in either Texas, Washington State, when I was junior enlisted Navy. All these big military states did not have that floor or foundation of what a military-connected school and community should look like. But Marysville and Ohio took care of that, and all those states replicated our framework, literally cut and pasted. And because of last month with Idaho and Arizona, there are 45 Purple Star states because Ohio and Marysville led first. So we should be proud of that, and congratulations for your service. Thank you for your service to our military kids, and thank you for continuing to serve as educators and staffers here in Marysville. Congratulations.
We have one more recognition. At this time, it's my pleasure to recognize Michelle Bloomquist from Creekview as the Employee of the Month. Michelle, there she is. Michelle, it's my pleasure, Michelle, to read to you what your peers said in order to recognize you for this award. Michelle goes above and beyond in her role as a classroom aide. She steps up when staff members are out. She connects with staff and students throughout our building, and she makes our school a little brighter each day. The love and care she shows our kids with special needs is heartwarming. She loves them deeply and makes it possible for them to have a wonderful school experience while at Creekview. She comes with a smile and is willing to jump in at any given moment. We are so lucky to have her. She is a champion for students. She is always willing to support what any student needs. She is warm, caring, supportive, and friendly. She is everything a student needs. Moreover, she is a great coworker. She is always the first to pitch in when help is needed. She serves on school committees to improve the school environment for both adults and students. And she's just a nice person. She is kind, and she is the kind of person that makes everyone smile. I believe Michelle deserves recognition as Employee of the Month because she constantly has a smile on her face every day, regardless of what she goes through. She is always thinking positive and greeting others with kindness and always checking in to make sure others are also okay. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, and now we're up to public participation. Do we have a book, Jonathan? Oh, I'm sorry.
So we have all on this page, and then there's one.
How many is there?
One on the back page. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12.
We can probably do them all, can't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great. Okay, a couple of things here. Each person addressing the board shall give his or her name and address. If several people wish to speak, each person is alleged 3 minutes, and we will be keeping time on that. The total time is 30 minutes. Now, we don't have, we have a few more than that, and I think we can probably get everybody in. Not everyone here is going to speak, hopefully. We have about 15 signed up. So the other thing I would ask is that if you've heard your speech given by someone else, fold and let's move on, okay? We'll play with that thing. So the first one up is Emily Campbell.
Emily Campbell, 5245 Bressler Drive, Hilliard, Ohio, 43026. Good evening. My name is Emily Campbell, and I've had the honor of serving as the Director of Choirs for Bunsold Middle School for the past 7 years. I'm incredibly proud of the program that I have built alongside Brianna Bizzaro, and our numbers and growth speak for it. Choir during the COVID-19 pandemic was a challenge, singing 10 feet apart inside with face shields. The pandemic decimated choral programs throughout the United States of America. We ended the 2020-21 school year with 77 students enrolled in choir at BMS. And now in the middle of 24-25, we are happy to announce we have 140 middle school singers, an 81% increase in the past 4 years. MHS has seen a 25% increase in choir enrollment in the past few years, and Creekview, who only meets once a week, has had a 62% increase in enrollment post-pandemic. Brianna Bizzaro and I have worked diligently to create a streamlined, spiralized sight reading curriculum 7 through 12 that has tremendously increased music literacy and student motivation in and outside of the classroom. Because of their increased musical literacy and hands-on personalized vocal training, we have been able to send multiple students to represent the Marysville Choral Department from both Bunsold and MHS at the regional and national level in the American Choral Directors Association Honors Choirs for 2 consecutive years. At district and state OMEA contests this past year, Symphonic Choir was rated the highest rating by all judges during their prepared piece selections and insight reading. This is the highest honor you can achieve statewide, and the students are proud of their ownership and level of musicianship they have accomplished. These are invaluable experiences that Mrs. Bizzaro and I are proud to provide our students. In 2022, we began a new concert tradition, Winter Songs, a collaborative 5 through 12 choral experiences that has been sold out for the past 2 years and is going to be another sold out weekend this December 13th and 14th. We use this concert not only as an opportunity to display all the hard work and dedication from all of our choral students, but as an effort to give back to the community. We partner with our Monarch marketplaces to collect food and products for their pantry, as well as donating our ticket sales to their cause. With Mrs. Bizzaro by my side, we have created a choral department with a standard of excellence that is very unique in a school district of this size. Today, I am here to bring community awareness to the long-term effects of limiting choral options 5 through 12. It would be incredibly unfortunate if future Marysville students were not offered the same opportunities that we have created for our students in the past. My heart breaks for the current students who do not know what the future holds. This music department cannot survive on 5 staff members to service 5,500 plus students in the Marysville Exempted Village School District. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Luke Ahern.
My name is Luke Aaron. I'm a 2005 graduate of Marysville High School. In 2018, Marysville Schools partnered with Ohio High Point to create a career tech pathway in performing arts that I was hired by High Point to design and implement. This program is rare. There are only 68 teachers in the state of Ohio in this pathway. The history of performing arts in this community and school district is extremely rich, and it has created a culture where students deserve this level of higher learning and the opportunity to see this as a legitimate and important career path. When my program began, I had a total of 3 classes and approximately 30 students. 7 years in, I have over 100 students enrolled regularly. I teach 7 courses and have established a thriving capstone internship program. The success of my department is directly related to our choral program and our extracurricular programs. The relationship between my classes and our outside of school work is symbiotic. They are growing and thriving together and need each other to function at such a high level. To speak directly about our growth, our Creekview program just had 237 students audition for their upcoming production, which is nearly a third of the entire building. Our middle school program has seen a 35% increase in cast and crew auditions. Creekview and BMS productions are supported and led by our high school students. Our advanced students assist in many aspects of these programs by stage managing, choreographing, and training younger students in theater tech. Over the last 4 years in the high school, we have had a 150% increase in the fall play and a 275% increase in our spring musical for cast and crew. Our extracurricular program offers professional opportunities for our students to use content learned in my classes in a real-world setting. All of our student leaders who are directing, designing, and running professional level technology and lights and sound are all on capstone projects in my department, and some of these former students and current students are pursuing some of the best college conservatory programs in the country to do this professionally. Our department specifically has created an opportunity at the high school that attracts many students to choose our building when they are deciding their future educational plan in the middle school. Many students come to our building specifically for the focus we create in this department. With our extracurricular productions being cut, this drastically changes the outlook of my program. We take away massive opportunities for students learning and will break apart many community partnerships that have been developed. I am the only dedicated staff member of the Performing Arts Pathway, but my collaboration with Brianna Bizzarro and her tenure here has been a keystone in our success. The two of us work side by side to build this department to be a true collaboration from 5th to 12th grade and show students the viability of this as an important work that exists in hundreds of career paths all over the world. Our students have toured and performed in professional spaces, had master classes with high-level professionals, and have seen the possibilities that exist in this field. A few months ago, Ms. Bizzarro organized a master class at the high school with an electrical light technician who has been touring with the Taylor Swift Eras Tour for 2 years. This kind of face-to-face interaction is what excites students to see this as their future. With the cuts being made, my classes will change dramatically. I will continue to try to provide the highest quality education I can, but our department is wounded. The cuts of my educational collaborators and our extracurricular program will change the outlook of hundreds of students in this community. These sorts of opportunities will go away, and with the exposure of the career paths in the arts. Our main job as educators is to open the eyes for students. That needs to guide every decision we make in and out of the classroom. That's what we're doing.
Thank you very much. And Bree Bizzarro. Did I say the first name right?
You did.
Okay.
Yes. Did you turn this off? You did not. Brianna Bizzarro, 973 Palmer Road, Grandview Heights, Ohio, 43212. Good evening. My name is Brianna Bizzarro, and I'm the head of the Choral and Theater Department at Marysville High School. I would like to start by reading an excerpt from the American Psychology Association article, Music Students Score Better at Math, Science, and English Than Their Non-Music Peers. The researchers hope that their findings are brought to the attention of administrative decision makers in education, as many school districts over the years have emphasized numeracy and literacy at the cost of other areas of learning, particularly music. In quotes, often resources for music education, including the hiring of trained specialized music educators, are cut or not available in elementary and secondary schools. The argument has frequently been that we need all of our money to focus on math, science, and English. The irony is that music education, multiple years of high-quality instruction, learning and playing in the band, orchestra, or singing in a choir at an advanced level, may be the very thing that improves all-around academic achievement. That is from Peter Gutziazis. It's evident from my two colleagues in the information that they just presented that we are a team that provides high-quality instructional learning at an advanced level. Our team has created a curriculum that is streamlined from 5th through 12th grade in both choral and theatrical arts education. In essence, we've become curriculum coordinators that the district was lacking. We want to ensure the curriculum that we have developed is respected and maintained to the best of its ability. We demand professionalism and continue to raise the bar of excellence for our students because they continue to be the most humble, driven, and talented students we have ever worked with in a performing arts department. We owe it to them to ensure that when cuts are being made, that we align with the district's mission that through collaboration, we strengthen their capacity. Since the school district does not have a district-appointed curriculum coordinator for music education, it is imperative that when you reduce the music program from 9 staff members to 5, that you consult with a music educator to make the decisions on how to divide up the remaining 5 positions to ensure that there is spiralized instruction so we can still afford our students a curriculum that is driven in pedagogical approaches that align with state and national standards. We simply want what is best for our students moving forward in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And Peggy Jackson?
Hi, I'm Peggy Jackson. I live at 723 Wedgwood Drive here in Marysville, 43040. Per the board website, thank you for allowing us to speak here today. We believe this topic warrants more than the allotted 30 minutes, so we kindly request that you consider extending the time with a formal vote. So I am the president of Marysville Theatrical Boosters, and for over 40 years, Marysville has fostered a strong theatrical presence in our community. In the past 3 years, we've established a dedicated 501c3 organization to support our directors and our students. Our boosters and volunteers tirelessly work behind the scenes to ensure the success of each production. Beyond student growth, we've built a financially sound organization that operates independently from district support. This has allowed us to achieve groundbreaking feats like flying Mary Poppins 15 feet above the stage, which is a first for MHS. Additionally, we've rented professional-grade stage sets to recreate the streets of New York for the production of Newsies. These experiences are invaluable, exposing our students to the vast possibilities within the theatrical field. These unique opportunities are virtually unheard of at a high school level and are directly related to the vision and dedication of Brianna Bizzaro, Luke Ahern, and Emily Campbell. This year, we're making history by participating in the Columbus Kappa Marquee Awards. This prestigious competition showcases the best of high school theater in the Columbus area, including schools like Pickerington, Upper Arlington, Grove City, and Olentangy. Our students have the extraordinary opportunity to be evaluated by industry professionals and potentially perform on a Broadway stage in New York City during a worldwide televised event that would bring immense pride to our community and the Marysville schools. Our program also offers our students invaluable opportunities to learn from Broadway touring professionals through master classes to attend Broadway national tour shows through the Applause program. But let me tell you more about our amazing students. Our students' dedication to this levy was truly inspiring. They formed a club to rally community support, made over 3,500 phone calls, canvassed over 500 homes, followed up with potential voters on election night, and they were the only students at the polls on election day. Their hard work demonstrates the importance of this levy to their future, the future of our community, and to the teachers and staff who have mentored and supported them over the years. Eliminating these teachers would have a detrimental impact on our students, both educationally and their mental health. They serve as trusted mentors and guides, fostering creativity and emotional growth through music and arts education. We want you to understand the profound impact that this program has on our students. It offers unique opportunities that significantly enhance their education and personal growth. Reducing these leadership positions would severely diminish the quality of our schools and community. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Tara Hemme.
Hi, I'm Tara Henley, 1157 Creekview Drive, Marysville, Ohio. I currently serve as the Vice President of the Marysville Theatrical Arts Boosters. As a parent of both alumni and current students at MHS and BMS, I have a vested interest in our theater department. I would like, Peggy has highlighted the ongoing growth and prestige of our theater department. I would like to emphasize not only the quality of performances, but also the vital role it plays as a supportive environment for our students. Reducing funding for the arts and eliminating essential staff decreases and eliminates an essential avenue for self-expression, emotional development, and creativity, which research indicates can lead to heightened anxiety, depression, and diminished sense of belonging, ultimately impacting academic success. This theater program plays a vital role in safeguarding our children's mental well-being. Just 4 months before the COVID lockdown, my family faced the heartbreaking loss of my husband and my children's father. My daughter, who grappled with her grief, withdrew from the world. She avoided even FaceTiming her friends. She resisted therapy, and I grew hopeless, and I was concerned for her well-being. However, once the schools reopened and the theater program commenced, I witnessed a remarkable transformation in her. She began to rediscover herself through friendships she formed and the support from dedicated teachers like Ms. Campbell, Ms. Bizzaro, and Mr. Ahern. These teachers constantly offer guidance and encouragement to students like her. This program fosters a sense of belonging and significance among these children. My son, who is in BMS, has difficulty relating to peers. He's not one to talk about football as a 13-year-old boy. He recently took on the role of sound technician for BMS. The trust and responsibility associated with this position instilled a sense of pride in him, helping him to connect and thrive in a way he hadn't before. The theater serves as a nurturing environment for my son and for students with various developmental, learning, and physical challenges. It embraces everyone without discrimination. It creates an inclusive environment. In this unique space, students discover that their differences enhance their performance rather than hinder them, allowing them to see their individuality as a valuable strength in the roles they are playing. The theater program goes beyond merely staging impressive performances. It plays a vital role in safeguarding the mental well-being of our students and fostering them to develop into healthy adults. Its importance cannot be overstated, and it is essential to ensure its continuation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jesse Weithman, sorry.
Sorry. First, a thank you to the board members who took part in many discussions this past week. I know this hasn't been easy for any of us, but as hard as this is for you, it is exponentially harder for our students who are losing favorite teachers, programs, competitive scholarship opportunities, teammates who are unable to participate, and so much more. Our students need you to stop rubber stamping and to ask hard questions, to take the time to understand the implications of the decisions you're making, and to force the school administrators to think creatively and to create models around new approaches with an open mind. Our students need you to revisit the contingency plan with fresh eyes and explore every avenue available to keep as many of the 30 teachers up for elimination as possible. Look at eliminating high school busing, non-classroom special assignment positions. Look at every single administrative position in this district and understand if those job duties of those positions can be combined and are truly essential, because the teachers are the heart of our schools. As you look for a path forward, I strongly discourage you from taking the path that you did for this levy. You asked your strongest supporters to carry the burden. The parents of the 1,700 participants, which calculate to as few as 600 families, cannot vote yes more than they did. The burden of the strategy moving forward must impact everyone in this district as equally as possible. Look at blended learning models, look at closing buildings, look at a combination of both. Far more people need to feel uncomfortable and to share the burden of voting no. The very strongest supporters in this district and levy and the previous attempts were the families of your performing arts students. This group has lost your trust, and you are now asking these families to pay hundreds more than the cost of their activities while losing teachers they adore. Regaining that trust among your strongest supporters is key to your strategy moving forward. Creating strategies that distribute this burden is a path to regaining that trust. Reconsidering the contingency plan with the focus on retaining teachers is a path to that trust. Keeping theater productions and passing along the small participation fees resulting at no extra cost to the district is a path to that trust. Without your performing arts voting base, the path to a successful future levy is simply harder. As an elected official, you carry the burden, along with the school administrators, of making this right. Please look at new strategies centered on saving classroom and art teachers and rebuilding trust with your base. Take the time to understand the implications of your decisions, and because with each misstep, the options narrow and decisions become more difficult. The next shot cannot be a rubber-stamped attempt filled with mistakes. It just cannot be. Let's get this right. Let's fix this for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Adrian Green.
Adrian Green, 21655 Shirk Road, Marysville. I'm a parent of a 5th and 2nd grader, and tonight I'd like to speak about the contingency plan. I think the suggestion to cut Unified Arts and Specials in K through 6 is ludicrous and short-sighted. I implore you to consider other roles that do not impact every child that walks into the buildings. According to your recent facility study, we have around 3,000 students in K through 6, and that's over 54% of the student body. Each Unified Arts teacher reaches 700 plus students per week. Often this is the only area many of our special needs and vulnerable students engage. This is core to building the required fundamental building blocks for futures in band, choral, and the arts in higher grades. Tech is essential to teaching our students how to type, build in essential life skills required for state test scores for writing in 3rd grade and above for all grades, and core skills required in the job market. In corporate America, I cannot and will not hire someone with subpar computer skills. I'd like to offer suggestions from surrounding districts. When Dublin had a recent levy, their first proposed cut was instructional coaches. This is a relatively newer position in the district, and we have them throughout the buildings and at a district level. I understand these roles are often pulled to substitute in a classroom or as support to administrative roles in a vice principal capacity. If there is a concern over administration retention related to these roles, that is a separate issue that should be reviewed regarding the district's approach to behavioral management as well as responsibility scope for our administrators. Instructional coaches are also not a role we require a substitute for if they are out sick or on a personal day, as they do not impact every single child. We should look at role retention options that benefit the majority of our students. I request the board look at proposed options and, if essential, keep a minimal district-level coaches that could be shared resources across buildings for feedback if building support is needed. During the pandemic, we retained Unified Arts during the 2020-2021 school year by placing teachers in assigned buildings to limit travel, but even on a modified school schedule, which I can attest as a parent was a horrendous student experience. The students had a bright spot in Unified Arts. I have spent countless volunteer hours in the elementary buildings over the past 6 years and have personally seen the difference that these teachers make. Are there options to eliminate Alt-K? I do not believe that they'll just enroll in kindergarten anyway is a valid statement. I'm a parent with a child who had a late birthday, as well as several of his friends, and we all opted before you had Alt-K to wait an extra year. There are local community options that with preschools and private schools if someone is interested in Alt-K. It's a nice to have, not a must have, as these kids are not yet at compulsory age to attend per state law. Are there options to eliminate software licenses we use on Chromebooks to offset costs? Can we go back to doing something on paper instead of via software to help us save on funding? My own children are in 5th and 2nd and have been to every...
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Brandpass. Kevin Brandpass? Oh.
Hi, my name's Kevin Brandfass, 616 Steinway, Marysville. I am the president of the Marysville Education Association. My talk is about putting a levy up immediately this spring. I want to take a moment to emphasize the critical importance of putting a new levy on the ballot once again this spring. Our fight is far from over, and it's crucial that we stay committed to the success of our district, our kids, and our teachers. Now is not the time to be discouraged by levy fatigue or lose momentum. The time is now to push forward with determination and show a collective fighting spirit. While we understand the passage of a spring levy won't provide immediate financial relief, we firmly believe that a successful levy in May will help us maintain all positions previously subject to the RIF, including school resource officers. And additionally, we aim to restore pay-to-play programs to their previous levels, ensuring that extracurricular opportunities remain accessible to all of our students. So passage in May brings everything back. MEA is committed to doing everything within our powers to ensure the survival and thriving of this district, and a successful levy in May is a vital step in that direction. So in closing, the time is now to unite to save our school district, our arts program, our music program, our core teachers, AP classes, and the 30 teachers losing their jobs. 30 teachers. The time is now that our district leaders and school board members collectively come up with a winning strategy this May. Failure cannot be an option. The time is now that our parents, community members, and staff direct our outrage and become an unwavering, dedicated force to securing the passage of the next levy in May. And the time is now for the City of Marysville, county commissioners, and yes, our local newspaper, to come out and publicly support our efforts to pass a levy. They must realize a thriving school system is of utmost importance to our community. I thank all of you. I appreciate you guys and their continued dedication to improving our school system. Together, let's make a difference, and let's get this passed this May. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Miller.
My name is Stephanie Miller. I live at 1422 Meadowlark Lane in Marysville. I've lived in the district for 25 years, and I'm a parent of 2 children, one who graduated in 2023 and one who is a current junior at MHS. I've noticed when school levies fail that the arts are the first to be dragged to the chopping block. I am here today to speak on behalf of the children, including my own, who have been positively impacted by the arts in our district. I want to speak specifically about my oldest daughter, who is a sophomore at the University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music, where she is studying theater design and production with an emphasis on sound design. In just a few short years, Emma will pursue a career in live entertainment as a sound engineer and designer. Honestly, she's aiming for Broadway, and that's not an impossible dream with the education she's receiving at CCM. All of that was made possible because of the performing arts program in our district. Her journey began when she had the opportunity to paint sets and serve as a stage crew member for Creekview's production of Aladdin Jr. back in 5th grade. The theater bug bit her hard, and after that, you could find her behind the scenes of every play and musical in this district, painting sets, building props, running sets on and off stage, and then finally behind the soundboard, committed to making our talented high school performers sound their very best. It is through her journey that I saw firsthand what an incredible performing arts program our district has. The performing arts pathway at the high school opened up career possibilities for Emma, and it provided her with experiences and skills that prepared her for college. Mr. Ahern and Mrs. Bizzaro recognized Emma's potential and offered her opportunities to grow her leadership, creativity, and technical skills. She is thriving in college today because of those opportunities. In order to apply to most university theater design and production programs, you must submit a resume, a portfolio of your work, and be interviewed. Emma had more than enough experience because of the performing arts program in the district, and she confidently was able to apply to prestigious programs, including CCM. Without her high school performing arts experiences, this would have been impossible. Because how do you accept someone into a university theater program without theater experience? There are so many students in our district who have found their life's passion and future careers within the arts, whether it be through marching band, choir, show choir, fine arts, or the performing arts. These programs have significant positive impact on the lives of our students. I know that the board is tasked with the difficult decision of cutting programs, but please do not underestimate the impact of our phenomenal arts programs, and please do not think that the cuts will go unnoticed. They will be devastating for hundreds of students in our district. Please do your best to protect the arts. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Dickerson? Oh, Sue.
Good evening. My name is Sue Devine. I live at 637 West 6th Street in Marysville. I'm here to sincerely thank the district for offering so many opportunities for people to learn and ask questions about the district, and also for attending so many levy events to share facts and be available to answer questions. By the slimmest of margins, our community voted down new operating funds for a second time. I know what it's like to sit up there when difficult decisions need to be made. It's a terrible feeling to know that students and staff will be negatively impacted, as well as our entire community. So, what can we do? For starters, and I'm speaking to everybody in here, we can commit to really educating ourselves about our district, whether it's calling or meeting with the superintendent, treasurer, board members, scheduling a visit to a building, or checking out the Marysville Partners in Education Committee website created earlier this year. There are lots of options to get accurate information. I'm still learning new things, even after I served as a school board member for 12 years. Second, we can commit to being involved with the next levy campaign. It takes a lot of time and effort, even if it's just making sure that we know the facts and share them with our friends and neighbors. Third, we can exercise our democratic rights, reach out to our elected officials to discuss school funding. With the last state budget, the school funding formula updated the cost basis used in the formula from 2018 to 2022 costs. There's no talk about updating that cost basis annually, so the state formula will continue to use outdated cost per pupil as part of the calculation. The formula is also being phased in over 6 years. It was at 50% in fiscal '24, will be at 66.67 in fiscal '25, and there's no guarantees of increases in later years. School choice vouchers are another topic for discussion. I don't think the majority of Ohio residents understand just how much of our tax dollars are going to support private education. I have no problem with private education, but I do have a problem with our tax dollars supporting that. Those dollars could be reallocated to public education. Locally, we can continue to encourage our city to find ways to support our district. Consider requiring separate school fees for all new housing developments, especially in any TIP areas. Closely monitoring and reviewing all TIP agreements on a regular basis for possible adjustments. Maybe include and also include district representatives from the beginning for all development discussions, both residential and commercial. These are just a few ideas. Staying positive, staying focused on the future, staying collaborative, staying open to ideas. This kind of attitude will bring us together. Our district needs our help. Now is the time to work together and focus on the big picture of ensuring all of our students have the kind of opportunities that will prepare them for a successful future. We will all feel the impact one way or another if we don't invest in our schools, but more importantly, we will all benefit if we agree to work together to find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Kara Emmel.
Good evening. Kara Immel, 536 Bridal Drive, Marysville. I am the mother of junior twins. One is at MHS and one is at ECHS. I couldn't be more thrilled with the education they have received thus far. Real quick note about my daughter. Emma Miller took Allison under her wing when Allison was a freshman and Emma was a senior, and pulled her into the theater department without theater at Creekview, Bunsold, and now working on every single production to date at the high school. She would not have discovered her love for theatrical lighting and design. She got bit by the bug, and she has gone through props, sets, everything, and she loves it. And without that opportunity, and it breaks my heart that other kids will not have that same opportunity going forward. But what I really want to talk about is the band. Those of you who probably have seen me around, I am the uniform coordinator for the Marysville Marching Band. As freshmen, my twins, we had to pay nearly $1,400 in pay-to-play and booster fees for the privilege of wearing that Monarch uniform band, and I did it gladly. To get them out there, get them on the field, it's been such a rewarding thing. You ask both of them, they love the marching, the music. No offense, Mr. Fannin. And they're out there entertaining our fans at halftime, going on the road with our football team and cheering them on, and also representing our school district and our community at OMEA state contest. We don't just pay the fees and walk away. My husband has built props, he hauls trailers, as I mentioned. I do the uniforms. When marching season is over, it may be over, but the laundry still has to be done. Those white bibs don't get cleaned themselves. We have a whole crew of volunteers that work tirelessly to keep them clean and pristine so that when we take the field, we are putting our best foot forward, pun intended. So, you know, I call this lovingly my full-time volunteer gig. No kidding, there are weeks during marching season where I'm putting 40 hours of time in with the marching band on top of my full-time job. I do it gratefully. It has been such a blessing to work with these kids, to get to know them on various levels. And I walk into the band room, and it's a distraction. I apologize again, Mr. Fannin, but there is a chorus of moms. A third of the band call me mom, and it just warms my heart. So as seniors next year, I'm going to pay willingly the $2,400 that it's going to cost for them to wear that uniform one last season. I'm blessed that I can afford that. But I look around that room and know that other students are not going to have that privilege. Freshmen will never get to wear the uniform.
You're way beyond, sorry.
Okay.
Thank
sorry.
you very much.
Thank you.
Sally Green? Sally Green? Am I saying that right? Reading it right? Okay. Adrian Hinchlife. Okay. I guess we're done. You did? I'm sorry. Okay, Jan, come forward. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm Jen Dickerson. My address is 583 Summer Tree Loop here in Marysville. I'm here to voice my concerns in regards to the removal of the school resource officers. Removing the SROs would affect every student in the school district. They provide more to the schools, teachers, and student body than just a security presence deterring crime. They become mentors, offering guidance and providing that positive police interaction that unfortunately some kids might otherwise never use. I am in awe every time I witness these officers in action, whether it's at school drop-off or pickup, class programs, athletic events, or even while off-duty in the community. You can see the bond between the officers and students. These officers truly care about the well-being of each and every child. The students, families, and teachers in the Marysville School District need the SRO program to be maintained as is. I had heard that the city of Marysville was discussing options with the schools to keep the SROs until the end of this current school year, buying time for more discussion regarding the future and possible funding for the program. I have most recently learned that the school board has turned down this offer of help from the city. I am truly disappointed. The school resource officers are an essential program in our schools. It's hard to send my kids to a new school every couple of years, elementary, intermediate, middle school, and high school. But knowing that they have SROs watching out for them has made the transition easier for me and my children. My kids are devastated to be losing their officers. My daughter, an 8th grader at Buntsfield, was in tears on election night watching the results come in. When I asked what was wrong, it wasn't because of the possibility of not cheering due to the pay to play. it was because she was going to lose her SRO, Officer Collier. My son, a 4th grader at Naven, was standing over my shoulder as I was preparing a very similar letter to the city manager shortly after the failure of the levy. He wasn't aware that the officers were truly going to be leaving. He said, "What? They are nice. They don't fight a bunch of crime in the school, but they are kind of like therapists. They are our friends. They help us." Just last evening, he came home from school and said that he almost cried at school because he was told that Officer Rowe's last day was going to be Tuesday. I do understand this is most likely a complicated process. However, for the good of Marysville and our students, I urge the school board to accept any resources being offered from the city of Marysville until a permanent solution to keep this vital program alive is found. Using the SROs as a pawn to get voters to approve a new levy is unacceptable. This will not sit well with the community. Do the right thing, do what is right for our students, and keep the SROs.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Avery Whitehurst. I go to Creekview Intermediate, and I just wanted to talk about my resource officers and how they mean a lot to us. Me and my fellow students talk about them a lot and how they won't be there anymore, and we just like talking about them and like how we look up to them and they protect us if anything goes wrong. And my UA teachers, I really love too, and my brother likes him too a lot, and he's going into 4th grade next year, and he wants to experience the things that I did. So I don't want any of them to disappear that much. I like them all. And my music teacher, my choir teacher, Miss McGuire, and Miss Bizzaro have helped me and all the other choir students a lot. And for anyone that wants to do choir next year, probably won't be able to, and I just want them to enjoy the same things that we used to do.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we're up to superintendent's report.
We're good? Okay. I wanted to mention a couple things. So we have parent council scheduled for December 18th at 5 p.m. That's our second round. We also sent out this week for facility planning a survey that we're asking everyone to share across the community to get feedback. We did share a lot of information in our community task force meeting, a lot of data. They helped design that survey. So next steps are to get the feedback from the community and really launch into some priority and design type processes. We have a whole, an entire day work session on December 2nd, and then the community task force comes back together in January. Our enrollment currently is at 5,668 students, pre-K through 12. The last thing I'd like to talk about a little bit is our contingency planning and the work post-levy failure. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who came tonight. It's definitely been a difficult few weeks, having to sit down and talk with principals and teachers about the future of our district. It certainly tugs on your heartstrings quite a bit having those conversations, and I'd especially like to thank the young lady that came up last. I think that's why we do what we do every day, and I couldn't be more proud of your bravery to come up and say the things you did. Definitely a challenging time moving forward. Certainly the board has lots of decisions to make as we think about next steps. We have worked through with principals, according to the contingency plan, looking at courses at the high school level that offer less than 20 students in order to maximize staff. We have met with K through 6 principals to discuss options by moving the unified arts out of that rotation in order for teachers to have negotiated plan time. And then we've also looked at options at Bunzell Middle School with loss of electives. I would be remiss to say that prior to this election, our staffing level was already thin. This reduction, no matter which way things might move, we have a revenue issue in this district. We've talked about that. We've talked about 98% of districts in Ohio operate with more revenue per student than Marysville schools. That means only 13 districts in the state of Ohio out of 606 operate with less revenue than we do. And we have stretched dollars and stretched dollars. And quite frankly, this round is somewhat dismal. It's never easy, but we are pushing forward. So at this point, we are planning to meet with impacted staff the first week of December. We're not initiating a formal RIF process, but anyone who could be impacted. It's very complicated when you look at seniority. We also have evaluation that plays into the shifting process. So our goal is to meet with anyone who is impacted or has potential to be impacted in that time frame. We have been working directly with union leadership in order to kind of get that moving and have open lines of communication back and forth. So we will continue to move through that process over the next few weeks. That's all for me. Yes.
You can go ahead and make. Oh, no, go ahead. Go right ahead. Treasurer. We'll go a little out of order here, and please bear with me. On the President's report, I have 6 items, and some of them are fun and some are not. I would like to say as President that I heard nothing new tonight that I did not agree with. I mean, everybody's impacted, especially in this room, tremendously. I don't think you can undervalue the arts at all. I'm very partial to band, having spent 4 years in it myself, and 4 years in choir, but they might not recognize that. Anyway, here's my board report. Understand that the reductions in the pay to participate fees seem unfair. They are. But we need to take steps to balance the budget. We really had 2 choices: cancel all extracurricular activities or allow parents and students to make that choice. We chose the latter as the best option. We made the decisions to pay to play. They were based on a lot of history, the only thing we have to go on. The number is a shot at a moving target and is based on all students in all programs divided into the total cost of those programs. And I realize that band and choir seem hurt more than the other options. But once we start dividing it out, we would be dividing forever. And suddenly you would be down to the golf team paying $2,000 or some ridiculous number like that. So we chose as a board, and it was a unanimous decision, to proceed with this method. We will have to evaluate for next year and likely the pay to play will have to go up. Then what? No one thought the community would have gone the way that they did, but here we are, and it's not our choice. You know, we cut things that are not mandated by the state of Ohio, and until we change that mandate, we will always be looking at arts and sports as a place to cut and balance the budget, and it's unfortunate. So on a lighter note, most of the board last week attended OSBA annual school board conference meeting, learned a lot of valuable information. We won't bore you with all that at this point in time. Most of our board did attend that and had a good time at it. Also, board member Dick Smith was recognized for his outstanding leadership. And he was dedicated into the public education by being selected as the All-Ohio School Board. Congratulations, Mr. Smith. And that's a big honor. I skipped a day of OSBA to attend a military recruitment thing I've been trying to get signed up for the last 10 years, and I don't think Mr. Williams is in here, but he finally got me on board. And I had an experience of a lifetime to tour training facilities in Jacksonville, Florida, and a nuclear sub in Georgia. And yes, I did pass the background check for that. You might want to stay away from me. I may be glowing. We were on the sub for an hour or more. What we found out is the opportunities in the Navy and military are unlimited. If your child has not looked into this as an option, I encourage you to check it out. They even have band and chorus in the military also. So something to think about. If I were younger, I would definitely consider it. We had a community coffee update last Sunday. We met with 20 community members about concerns for future of the district post-levy failure. I don't know if you want to give us a synopsis on that or not, Nan, or...
So there were a lot of ideas, many of which were kind of covered today, some of them that were not covered today. It was supposed to be an hour session. It went a little over 2 hours. There was a lot of good discussion, out of the box thinking that was being thrown at us, and we took some diligent notes on it, and just want to let everyone know that we are listening to what you're saying, and if we are encouraging you to bring additional ideas forward. Okay, and the next thing, I hear this all the time. I get criticized for it, that the city and the schools aren't working together to come up with solutions, and I just want to assure you that we are. There are 2 members from this school board that are meeting with 3 members of city council, and you wonder why that is set up that way. That's because there's not a quorum of either committee, and no decisions are made. Just ideas are discussed and brought back to the board or to the city council. It's, I don't know, fairly secure committee. We've been meeting consistently about every month. We have taken about a 3-month break. We were back at it this Monday. We met in a small group meeting and we discussed the resource officers. And I want to put this to rest right now. We did not receive an offer from the city, and we did not ask the city for an offer on the resource officers. They did not make that offer, and we did not reciprocate either direction, okay? A discussion was held that we felt that they felt they could provide adequate services for us at a distance, and I'm not going to go into those details because I think that opens us up to some security issues. at this point in time. Okay? Anything else I need to say there? Okay. The board has scheduled a special work session to consider the next options for a levy, December 3rd and December 9th at 4:30 right here in the board office. This is open to the public, but the public may not participate in that, so you're welcome to come and listen, see if we're conducting business the way you would like us to conduct the business. So that's it for the board president's report. How's the technology doing?
We got it going.
Good.
Okay, for my report, I'm going to be going over the November 5-year forecast. I added this slide. Normally, I'm presenting this to Chad and Jonathan. We actually have a few extra people here today, so I thought I'd give a little bit of background here. So the Ohio Revised Code requires that the school board, that every school board adopts a 5-year forecast in November and then updates that forecast in May. So that's why we're here. The funds required to be reported in the 5-year forecast are the general funds. So you're not going to see the Permanent Improvement Fund. You're not going to see the bond fund. You also not see any ESSER funds in the 5-year forecast. So I bring that up because one of the biggest questions I've gotten recently is, if you look at our salaries from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25, why was there such a big jump? And the reason is the ESSER funds. So those funds are not reported on this 5-year forecast. As we've talked about many times, we use the ESSER dollars to cover salaries that were previously in the general fund, so that when the general fund, when the ESSER dollars ran out, those salaries were brought back into the general fund, in essence savings taxpayer dollars. So that's the reason for that. Some of the purposes of the 5-year forecast: engage the board and the community in long-range planning to help discuss our financial issues. It serves as a basis for determining ability for us to sign a 412 certificate. What that really means is we can't spend money we don't have. We can't sign a 3-year contract if our forecast says we're going to have a deficit in year 2. So it's just a way legally that we have to show we have enough money to meet our obligations. And third, to provide a method for the Ohio Department of Education and state auditor to identify school districts with potential financial problems. And we'll talk about that a little more on our next slide. So as usual, the first slide is a very high-level look at the 5-year forecast. The first line that everybody's drawn to is the green line. That is our ending cash balance. We have a relatively healthy cash balance this year, but as you can see, it's dropping significantly and dropping quickly. The current cash balance, it remains positive through fiscal year 27, and then we would have a cash deficit beginning in fiscal year 28. We're deficit spending, meaning an operating deficit every single year of the 5-year forecast. So this year, fiscal year 25, we're looking at a $4 million operating deficit. Over the 5-year period, it's an average of $11 million cash deficit, meaning expenditures are exceeding revenues by $11 million on average for the forecast. We've been talking recently about fiscal watch, fiscal emergency. Those dates have been pushed back each by a year due to the cuts that have been implemented after the levy failed. So in fiscal year 26, which is next year, we would be in fiscal watch. We just narrowly avoided it this year because of the cuts. And then in fiscal year 28, we would be in fiscal emergency, again, because of the cuts. We would have been in there in fiscal year 27. And for those that aren't aware, fiscal watch, fiscal emergency, fiscal watch is really where the state says, we see that you're having a fiscal problem. You need to give us a plan. What are you going to do to fix it? Fiscal emergency is a little more severe, where the state would actually come in and force cuts to get us in a better budget situation. One that we haven't talked about as much is called fiscal precaution. Okay, so that is where if your forecast shows a cash deficit in the 3rd year of the 5-year forecast, you would be what's called fiscal precaution, and at that point you're required to give to the state how you're going to get out of that deficit. And that's worth pointing out because had it not been for the cuts that were made after the first failed levy and the cuts that have been implemented already after the second failed levy, we would be in fiscal precaution right now, meaning the state would be requiring us to tell them how we're going to get out of it. And I know I've heard a few people say the idea that, well, you've got a nice cash balance, just spend it and see what happens. And really, that fiscal precaution is the state's way of making sure that doesn't happen. They want people to be, they want districts to be looking long-term, not just looking at their cash balance in 1 year. So we have an ending cash balance policy, which helps guide some of our levy decisions. So this slide talks about that. So 1 month of expenditures will be maintained through fiscal year 27. So what that means is our ending cash balance, we want to be at least equal to or above what would equate to 1 month of expenditures. So you can see there in fiscal year 27, one month of expenditures would equate to about $6 million. Our ending cash balance in fiscal 27 would be $8.8 million, so we meet that criteria in fiscal 27. Then beginning in 28 and 29, we would not meet those cash balance requirements. And then the other factor is expenditures not exceeding revenues by more than 1%, and we're in each year of the forecast, we're already not meeting that requirement. And as you can see again there, the cash balance is falling quickly. Fiscal year 28, there's a cash deficit of $3.5 million. Fiscal 29, a deficit of $17.7 million. It's worth noting that if you, as I mentioned, the contingency plan, some of the items that were implemented immediately are in this forecast, so that improves the forecast. But if you take those items out, the deficit that we were looking at in May is almost identical to what we would be looking at with this forecast, about an $8.9 million deficit. So while there have been significant changes both ways, the ending cash balance really hasn't changed except for due to the contingency plan. Looking at revenues, revenue sources, we're looking at a little over $62 million in revenues for the general fund in fiscal 25. Our two largest sources are the state foundation funding and our real estate tax revenues. Real estate tax revenues are down for fiscal year 25, down by a total of about $667,000. So that was not great news. Really two factors there. One, we've already talked previously about the clawback for the TIF revenues that go to the city. That was a piece of it. The larger piece is our public utility personal property tax. The AEP plant, power transmission plant up near Raymond, they appealed their valuation, which decreased our public utility personal property tax values, bringing our revenues down. That flows through the forecast and decreases revenues in each year. And we're not the only district suffering from that. There's a lot of districts throughout the state with AEP that are having that same issue right now. As we've talked about, our tangible personal property reimbursements will be gone by fiscal 26. So this year we're going to receive, I believe it's around $400,000 or $500,000, which should be the last payment that we'll receive, and that would be fully expired. State funding, also that was a significant drop compared to projections for this year. That was about $1.1 million less than projections. Two main factors there. We'd been assuming enrollment growth of 100 students per year. This year, while our actual enrollment is pretty much right in line with where the enrollment projections were showing, the problem from a funding standpoint is a lot of that new enrollment growth was at the preschool level. So preschool students do not count towards funded enrollment for our state funding. So like I said, our numbers are right where we were projected, but from a funding standpoint, they're well below. Another factor impacting our state funding is local capacity that we've talked about, which in a nutshell, as a district looks wealthy compared to other districts, your state funding goes down. If you're a district that is relatively poor from a median income and property value standpoint, then you get more money. So our large property value increases that happened last year, those have now been added into the formula, which makes us look wealthier, which brings our state funding down. Also worth noting, fiscal year 26 and 27, so next year is the beginning of a new biennium. So the state operates on a 2-year biennial budget. We really never know, only at 2 years at a time, what our state funding is going to look like. So who knows what might happen next year. I know, there's the question I get sometimes, well, they came through 2 years ago with an extra $3.5 million. How do we know that's not going to happen again? And I would say anything's possible, but I have been in meetings with high-level state positions saying the money that you got 2 years ago is not going to be repeated this year. State funding is not coming in where they had projected. They're coming in under their budget, so we're not likely to see large increases for school districts.
Just a quick question here. So preschool students do not count in the funding formula. Can we not service preschool students?
No, we still have to service them. That's a requirement. And we do get some funding. It's just not part of that per pupil funding. And then also, as I mentioned, the pay to participate fee increase, that has been incorporated in revenues. So you're going to see, if you look year to year, you're going to see a significant increase in that other revenue line. So part of that is that pay to participate fee. Another part of that is our interest revenues. So that's, I guess, one of the bright spots on our forecast. Interest revenues have stayed high. Interest rates have stayed high. So that is much higher than what was projected in the original forecast. So this forecast has been updated based on that. And then also we were able to add to the forecast beginning in fiscal year 28. That's an increase of $76,000 for the Connect, the Silos project that was agreed to with the city. So that's that income tax share that would be coming. That has been added in. This slide looks at the property values of the district. Our values went up by 2.06% in tax year 23. That was mainly due to new construction, residential new construction. Our next update in values would be in 2025, which would affect collections in 26. We're estimating a 12% increase in values. We are very close to the 20 mil floor right now. We're at 20.1, so that increase should push us onto the 20 mil floor. There's some variability there, though, because there's a legislative committee right now talking about property tax reform. One of the proposals that I've heard is decreasing the 20 mil floor. So if that were to happen, that would impact our school revenues. There's other discussions that in reality are good discussions, things that probably need to happen that would make it so elderly, fixed income people would not be hit as hard with tax increases. But what we don't know yet is if some of those things do come through, will that impact our revenues or would the state fund it? And I think what we're hearing already, based on the state revenues not coming in where they want, it would probably a good chance it might impact our revenues as well. But they're supposed to make their deadline for making a recommendation is the end of December. So hopefully we'll know more soon. Looking at expenditures, projected expenditures for this year are about $66.6 million. Salaries and wages make up 89% of our total operating expenditures. We're a service-oriented organization, so that's going to be the majority of our expenditures. Our wages and benefits came in well under projections. So wages were down by about $359,000 compared to projections. That's due mainly to 9 positions that back in May we projected we would be filling, but they ended up not getting filled. So there were 5 certified, mostly on the special education side, and 4 classified bus drivers, positions that we wanted to fill but were not able to fill. On the healthcare cost side, those positions not being filled decreased that side, but the bigger piece of that is each year of the forecast we project a 9% increase in health care. That's been historically where we've been. Good news this year, the renewal coming up this coming January is only 2.3%. We've got a nice reserve buildup and claims have been in line, so that was a significant savings to the forecast. Also of note, on the purchase service side, the reduction of the SRO program has been incorporated into the forecast. That's a reduction of $340,000 in fiscal '25, and then an additional $340,000 in the following year. And just the forecast assumes that that's in place. There's a lot of ways you could present the forecast. Obviously, we hope that's not the case and that the SR program would come back, but that's the way that the forecast is presented. Last slide. This is just another way to look at the ending cash balance, but I think it's adds a different perspective. The GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association, I get the question a lot regarding our cash balance policy as well. You know, we've got a large cash balance. What should we have? What do we recommend? So the GFOA recommends 60 true days of cash balance. Okay. That's a little more conservative than our approach. Our cash balance policy calls for 1 month, okay, so 30 days as opposed to 60. So that they're recommending a more conservative approach than what we take. And as we talked about, you can see there in fiscal 2027, we barely, we would not meet the GFOA recommendation, but we do meet our own recommendation, but because of the cuts that were in place. That's the only way that we're meeting that. And then beginning in fiscal 28, obviously with the actual cash deficit, we're not going to meet anybody's cash balance policy there. As Bill mentioned, next steps, we'll have the special meetings coming up in December where we can talk about the potential of a May levy and do some modeling of what that might look like. That's all I have if there's any questions.
Must have done a good job.
I hope so.
Let's see, now we're up to student achievement report. Matt?
First, thanks to all the principals for all the notes that they put in our board notes. I enjoy reading them and learning about what our students are doing. In regards to student achievement, a lot of our schools are looking at assessment data and making some adjustments based off growth and or lack thereof to help impact our students in their learning.
Okay, and legislative report?
Yes, I'm going to keep it short tonight. OSBA usually sends out an email on Friday after our board meeting, so I'm going to forward that over. But there are some changes on the House, the State House side. Senator Matt Helfman was elected by the Republican caucus to be, the future Speaker of the House, which is going to be a concern in some shape and form because one of his #1 platforms is school choice. And so looking at those discussions, how much they fund the voucher program moving forward is something that we should probably keep our eye on since he is the new speaker. So obviously the budget discussions are happening right now with the governor's office, and then I will move into the House by February for the budget bill, and then to the Senate by May, and the budget should be adopted, has to be adopted the first week of July. So June 30th, but it usually pushes into the first week of July. So something just to keep our eyes on and start engaging our legislators about the importance of making sure they fully fund the next phase in of the Fair School funding formula.
I'd like to add to that, if you have any pull whatsoever in the state legislature, please voice that now, because it's going to change dramatically. It's make our job impossible to offer almost anything. So,
yeah, the voucher program that Jermaine mentioned, and I think it was mentioned earlier in the meeting. In the last biennium budget, the state legislature set aside $1 billion to fund tuitions to private schools in the state of Ohio. And so when we talk about the vouchers and funding of private education, that's what we're talking about. And I had the role of being the legislative liaison for a few years, and this program started out and involved a relatively small amount of money in a very limited location up in Cleveland, and it now applies to every student in the state of Ohio. $1 billion could go toward the Fair School Funding Plan and toward public education. I hope that Mr. Huffman would change his opinion. So,
If I may, another part of the platform is to eliminate the income tax, or to move towards eliminating tiers in the income tax, which is how the state receives. Now, there may be an adjustment with sales tax to try to get some, the same amount of revenue, but it is it is a concern or something to observe and make sure those revenue projections are not going to be detrimental to state funding, because if state funding if they're not collecting as much revenue, then they're going to have less to allocate, and that's going to put us in more competition with the school choice program. So,
any other discussion? Okay, we need a motion to approve the draft minutes from the previous meeting. Oh, did I skip something? No, we're moving on. Sorry. A motion to approve the draft minutes from the previous meeting.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes from the last meeting? Seeing none, we'll take a vote.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Keck?
Yes. And then we have the Board of Education items. Recommend to approve Ohio Public Education Appreciation Week proclamation, which we've all signed already. Need a motion for that?
I'll motion.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
This proclamation acknowledges that public education in the state of Ohio is critical. 90% of all school-age children receive their education in public schools, and public education is grounded in the state constitution and has been a part of Ohio's history from its founding. And so I think it's proper and right for this board to recognize the value of public education.
Any other discussion? We'll take a vote then.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Keck?
Yes. And we're on to, let's see, Board of Education items. Motion to approve these policies. I hope that everybody's read them. I did take an inordinate amount of time to read them all, and they're basically recommendations by OSBA. Changes in our policies, just the wording. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just again, this has to do with the changes from Ohio Department of Education to Ohio Department of Education and Workforce Development. There are a lot of roles and responsibilities changing as we transition to a cabinet level governor's office facility. All of the policies had to be reviewed and updated to explain those new responsibilities.
Okay, we ready for a vote?
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Keck?
Yes. And now we need a motion to approve the five-year forecast that we just went over.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the forecast?
Todd, there's been questions in the community about the property tax revenue line. I know we address it at most of our readings here, but could you just, it is kind of stagnant, or it appears to be stagnant or not moving as high as some would imagine in the community with the development, the rate of development and growth. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, so you get that question a lot, and you also get the question of how can it possibly decrease? So part of that issue has to do with fiscal year versus calendar year. So when you get a big increase due to a valuation increase, that from our standpoint is split over a fiscal year, whereas the calendar standpoint, it's all in one calendar year. So that makes things look a little different than it would look at from just looking at it on the calendar year standpoint. And then the way school funding is set up, there's House Bill 920, which is always fun to try to explain, but what House Bill 920 basically does is as property values go up, the effective millage that our taxpayers pay based on goes down. So that's why you will see every 3 years when the county auditor does a reappraisal or a triennial update, that's when values typically will go up significantly. In those 2 years in between, the only real increase we would see is usually going to be new construction. So that's why you're going to see relatively small increases on those 2-year periods based on new construction that we might get. On the third year, you'll see a larger bump because of that valuation increase, but it's not as big as you would typically expect because of House Bill 920. That brings the millage down, so we're not collecting as much as you would think, and your tax bill is not going up as much as you might think as well. Now, I did note beginning in 26, if we get that increase that we're expecting, or which we likely will, then we would hit the 20 mil floor. Once you hit the 20 mil floor, House Bill 920 is no longer in effect. And again, depending on how far we want to get into the weeds here, once you've hit House Bill 920, all of your millage is in basically the same impact as having those 4.7 inside mills. All those mills work the same. They can be reduced no further.
Just one other follow-up. On the expenditure side, we see the salaries are going up. Something I think now that I've been on the third year on the board, I think we also, to help tell the story of why those expenditures are going up, we should probably incorporate a staffing forecast and the enrollment projection in our presentation to kind of help understand, healthcare costs, that makes sense. But how many positions do we have allocated, and what category are those positions? I think that's the story that we need to show when we adopt our 5-year forecast, and also the enrollment for a projection as well, to kind of help just tell the whole side. Because just looking at dollars and cents it may not fully explain the why behind why the expenditures are going up. And so we can show. Can you remind me, is it 60 students per year that we're looking to our enrollment's going to increase by?
The forecast assumes 50.
50, and then for staffing?
For 4 additional staff per year.
Okay, and those staff are not necessarily set to classified or certified, just 4 positions?
Well, the forecast is more of we do an annual budget that's going to be more specific. The forecast just assumes 4 certified positions, which is really just creating a placeholder and a number. But, we have meetings each year to talk about, the actual positions.
Okay. Yeah, I think moving forward, if we can maybe incorporate more of that, and while we present our 5-year forecast, that could help me as a board member or the community understand the why behind those numbers. Because the 5-year forecast, the general fund, is overwhelmingly personnel, right? So yeah, that would help. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, we're ready for a vote.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Kapp?
Yes. And then we need a motion to approve all treasurers and CFO. Did we do that? Great. Oh, yeah. Got it. All right. We need a motion to adjust the pay-to-play participation fee due to a calculation error from, I believe it was 770 to 730. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so first, I apologize that that wasn't added to your sheet. Sorry to mess up your groove there.
That's all right.
So I'll just point out that, we were made aware of an error in the calculation. Main issue is there was a formula error that double counted some benefits. So I know the timing is bad since it's already been implemented, but I think it's the right thing to do since it was due to an error. So that number would go from 770 down to 730.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I do. When the pay-to-participate fees were being discussed, parents were inquiring and they asked for a list of where the dollars are going and what positions are being allocated. When that list was sent out, there are people in the community that are wondering why co-curricular activities are paying at that time $770 per activity. And that when we discussed as a board, we were just given kind of a number saying, here's how many participants divided by the total cost for athletic directors, staff, administration staff, and we divide that, and that's what kind of how we made our decision, arrived at the 770. Upon further review and discussion by community members, it appears that the cost for athletics and the cost for co-curricular are different. And the difference for athletics is $845. So if all athletic programs pay the salaries and benefits for all athletic staff and their supplemental contracts, it's $845. And if co-curricular, which would include show choir, band, it's $235 per activity. So I would like to place a motion on the table to amend this motion to increase pay-to-participate fees for all athletics to $845 and co-curricular activities to $235 per activity per student with no family cap to be effective at the beginning of the 2024 winter sports and activities season.
Is there a second?
Can I just add a clarifying item?
Yes, you can.
I think it's disingenuous to say that you were presented something that didn't say that, because you were presented something that showed exactly who all was covered. It showed co-curriculars and athletics together. I 100% agree you can disagree with how that was done, but you can't say that it wasn't presented that way.
My apologies if I misspoke there. However, our intention was to put the burden of extracurriculars on the place of parents to provide an opportunity not to eliminate the programs. It was not to place an undue burden. And so as a board member, I didn't ask as many questions. That's my fault. And so I'm trying to correct an action and maybe create more equity, because show choir, those students, that's happening in the winter, so they're paying a $770 fee, but I can't tell a parent, why are they paying that fee? They're not getting any services from the athletic director or their staff or their benefits. And so as an elected official, I don't have a good answer to give them. And it's my fault that I didn't do my homework when we originally approved the plan. But I think now that I know, I have a duty to try to fix this situation to make it more fair.
I don't know if this is a motion on what you're talking about, Jermaine, but I was saving for comments and questions. We really need to talk about our contingency plan, and this is a component of it.
Still looking for a second. No second, motion dies due to lack of second.
I guess I'll second it then.
Please be speedier in that the next time. Normally, I wouldn't let that go. Okay, so we have a motion. It's been properly seconded that we increase and decrease at the same time. Do you have those exact figures?
Yes, and please offer clarity if these numbers are wrong. The motion is to increase pay-to-participate fees for all athletics to $845 and co-curricular activities to $235 per activity per student with no family cap to be effective at the beginning of the 2024 winter sports and activities.
Any other discussion?
One of the things that I mentioned at the time we were talking about this was that I hate pay-to-participate fees. I absolutely hate them. I wish we could do away with them. But our community some time ago made it clear to earlier Board of Education that they did not want their tax dollars paying for extracurriculars. And so that was, and I think became kind of common in most school districts that there is some sort of a fee, or many of them have that, but that was kind of the origin of things here. One of the things that I know that I mentioned when we were having this discussion was the fact that if you broke out a sport or a group, you could, where you had large numbers of participants in one particular area, have a fairly small fee. But other opportunities for kids where there might be fewer numbers, you would have an exorbitant fee. And so it was my understanding at the time that we recognized that there were inequities all across the board, and that one of the reasons for lumping all extras together and looking at everything that happened outside of the school day as an extra was to try to arrive at a number that was, and the numbers we're talking about aren't reasonable, I get that, but to try to make sure that we didn't create a barrier for someone that was interested in an activity that had a small number of kids, while we benefited an activity that had a larger number of kids. Because, as has been pointed out, the benefit to the individual students can be tremendous. And you know, we've got a number that go into theater, go into music. We have also students that will go into activities where there's smaller numbers. I was connected with the mock trial program for a lot of years, and there's not a lot of kids in that. But I have seen the benefit, and it mirrors the benefits that were mentioned today. And so one of the reasons why I supported, and I continue to support, an across-the-board fee is to make sure that we have, and I'm going to label it a barrier to participation, that barrier to participate is the same for every one of our students. Because in my goal, I don't want to pick winners and losers. I don't want to say, oh, this student choosing this pathway has an easier opportunity than another student. And so I understand and I don't disagree, but for me, making sure that every student has an equal opportunity to participate is very important. And so for that reason, I would not be able to support this motion.
Go ahead.
Oh, I need clarity. Where did these numbers come from?
Jermaine asked me to run numbers if the co-curricular were separated out from athletics. I thought it was forwarded to the board, but it was close to the meeting time, so you may not have seen it.
Okay, and so all athletes would pay $845, is that right?
Correct.
And band and show choir would pay $235.
Correct.
And the change point is the allocation of the athletic director.
It's a redo of multiple things. It's changing the athletic directors, it's changing participation, it's changing transportation. So it's kind of a redo of the whole thing.
I might also encourage you to look at the spreadsheet for supplementals and work with the ADs.
We did.
One more time to make sure it's accurate, because based off what I saw, there was inaccuracy in number of coaches at a level that I know of.
We did, and that's been corrected. That's part of the 730 change.
How soon do we have to make this decision?
I would say immediately.
Tonight.
Because it's already showing up on parents' Power School as fees.
Bill, I already paid my son's basketball. I may need to pay more.
And I would note that if we approve the earlier resolution to go to 730, we would work with parents, whether that be a refund or switching fees to another fee area, whatever the case would be.
Mm-hmm.
As a clarifying remark, I just want to make sure I understand the athletes' position of seeing an increase instead of a decrease. It's not picking winners and losers. That's not the intent of this. The intent is to make sure it's fair, and the people and the participants who are paying for their activity are paying for what they receive in their service. They're receiving transportation, they're receiving supplemental contracts, they're receiving the opportunity to participate. And if the athletic budget requires more, then this is the intent of the contingency plan, then that number is unfortunately 845. However, I will pose the same question that was posed to me by multiple individuals, by a band or a show choir person, saying, what am I paying for with the 770 or now the 730? Can you give a reason that I can give them if we do not make this change?
My answer to that is you're paying the cost of operating the extracurricular programs that our school district offers. And I appreciate those that might disagree with me, and I understand that. But if I was within the athletic department and I had an activity, I'm going to say track, where you have 140 participants or something like that, why wouldn't they be broken out and get a lower fee because they have a larger number of people? And I just felt like that you can make a lot of decisions, that you're going to look at all of these different sports. My goal was to try to keep as much opportunity in front of students as was possible. And I believe that a one fee dollar amount allows all of our students to have an equal opportunity to participate in whatever extracurricular that they want, without saying, it's going to cost you more if you do this, it'll cost you less if you do this, those kinds of things. I want to make sure that all of our students have a choice. And I characterized it as choosing a winner and a loser. Maybe that's not the best way to characterize it. But as a school district, we have always tried to make sure that whatever we offered, every student had an equal opportunity in participation, whether it be an academic activity or an extracurricular activity. And for me, that's important. And I appreciate, the views that anybody else has, and I don't disagree particularly with them. For me, that has value. And for that reason, as I said, I would not want to see a change in terms of what we're doing. I know it's difficult. I don't like it. I wish we could get rid of it. I wish we didn't have the $200, you know, because I've seen the value of participation in the band, in athletics, in the academic extracurriculars and so forth. And I don't deny, and I get heartened by the demonstrations and testimony we've had before us tonight of how important all this stuff is. I sincerely wish that the community had recognized the value of these programs as we in this room tonight value these programs. But that wasn't the case. And I don't like our alternatives. I don't like this decision, but I want to try to be as fair and equitable as I can, recognizing that it is complete anger on my part. So I've said enough.
My concern with it is where do you stop? Do we reconsider each sport individually, each program individually? You know, now that if we were to pass this motion, where would that stop?
It's not my intention to, I don't have the data either to see what that would be, but I think there's an argument, a better argument, that's saying all athletics is paying for all athletic staff and supplementals, and they're sharing that burden together. Because then you don't create an inequity of golf being 2,000 and a different sport being 100. Obviously, those may not be that far apart, but you don't create an inequity within the athletic department programs. But right now, co-curricular is co-curricular, and athletics is separate. And so, again, the parents are asking me, why are we paying this fee and we're paying for athletic staff that we don't receive any services from? And I think if this is truly a user fee type situation, then we need to at least get it more closer and have those general buckets separated between co-curricular and athletics. And again, you know, I don't necessarily want to see the athletics go up to 845, but if we follow the intent, that's what that burden, that share of that burden is. However, the difference between 770 and 235 is too far for me not to be here being in this awkward position I am right now. Trust me, it's awkward because I know we all care. I know we all support the students and we're on the same team. But once I have the information, I think I have a duty to try to act. And that's why this motion's here.
Yeah. One last thing, and then I will not. What we looked at were supplemental contracts. Regardless of what the activity is, whether it's band, choir, whatever, these are supplemental contracts. We needed to cut $3.7 million out of the budget. And we looked at what are we required to do and what are we not required to do. And we are not required to fund supplemental contracts. Now, I know that the contracts support different kinds of activities, but in my mind, they're all supplemental contracts. And I don't, as I said, I don't disagree with any comments that have been made. I don't disagree that this is a horrible situation. But as we look at this, I think it is important to recognize that all of these are supplemental contracts outside of the basic teaching contract, and that is the area where we, you know, originally made our decision. So,
is that how you came up with these numbers? Was with the supplementals for today?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Matt?
I'm with Jermaine as far as my thinking. It just doesn't feel right. I understand what you're saying, Dick, and another reason why we got to pass this levy if we decide to go on and what we're doing in May.
Okay, I guess we're ready for a vote.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Keck?
I'm going to say yes. That's a good, yeah, no. We go on as amended. So we now have the regular motion as amended at this point in time. Any further discussion as amended? Okay, we're ready for a vote on that one too. We have to revote as amended. All we did was amend the numbers.
Did we just vote on that?
No, we just voted to change the numbers, and now we vote on the motion as amended.
With the same motion,
I know it seems the same, but it's not.
Mr. Keller, first and seconds on this one as well?
Well, that motion already had a first and second.
Okay, so we're going back to, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to catch up.
No problem.
Smith?
No.
Ms. Savage?
I don't know what we're voting on. What are we voting on?
Same thing we did, basically. Exactly.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Keck?
Yes. Okay. Let's see here. Where are we at? Treasurer's action items. We need a motion to approve those at this point in time.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
The only big item I would point out on there is our appropriations. There's some carryover from last year's grants. One of the biggest ones there is Title I, but I would note that that's actually not really our money. That's from the COIC. We're just the fiscal agent there, so it's really not our money to spend.
Any other discussion? We're ready for a vote then.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Keck?
Yes. And now we're on to the superintendent's items. We have a volunteer, and Mr. Jermaine Ferguson will have to abstain from this vote. So we need a motion to approve Anita Roche as did I say that right? Rocha, just the way it's spelled, as a volunteer.
So moved.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Abstain.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Keck?
Yes. And then we're on to superintendent's action items. Motion to approve all superintendent's action items at this point.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's something in there buried in there that we need to bring out at this point in time. And I'd be remiss if I didn't, so that we vote on that. It has come to a time in history when our superintendent is going to retire. She has put her service in for the last 13 years, and that is pretty much unheard of in the state of Ohio. Usually 3 or 4 years is enough to get you there. So she has given us a heads up that she will be retiring in May. Is that right? And so she will be sticking with us until we can find a new leader. And I sure do appreciate her staying here. If nothing else, then the continued, what do I say, keeping the ship level. And do very much appreciate that. So on that note, we have a first and a second. Any other discussion?
I would just highlight YMCA agreement. The only change on the YMCA agreement is, in fact, the dates. And I would also highlight the fact that Christy Young is retiring as well on the agenda after 26 years in our district. So.
And then does it do us any good to vote no on the resignations or not?
All I would say is it's been an amazing 13 years. Marysville has become my home. You know, as I flip forward, I guess, in the next chapter of my life, I still plan to serve public education, but I still plan to be a fierce advocate for this district and what it stands for. And the next 6 months are nothing but focusing on getting things back that our kids deserve, and so they can make choices for their future. There's nothing more important to the core of who I am than that. So I'm excited about my future, but understand that we have work to do.
Yep. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. And at this point, that takes us to our board discussions. Mr. Smith, would you want to start us out there?
I've got a couple things. I want to thank all of the people that came tonight, and really do appreciate all the comments and concerns that were expressed. They're certainly shared. I had an opportunity to go to the National Business Honor Society induction. Our business department, the high school, did a marvelous job recognizing an outstanding group of our students. One of the things, I brought a couple of examples. There was a 4th grade class that made placemats for the 100 or so people that were in attendance. These were tied to their career options. This young lady said that she wanted to be a lawyer, and this young man drew a picture of McDonald's. And so it was a great way to kind of see at the high school the culmination of a great educational program as students were inducted into this honor. And also it tied back down into the elementary, getting kids to think about their future and thinking about their careers. As I went through the principal notes, one of the things that I focused on in our strategic plan, our 4th goal is wellness. And in the elementary buildings, every single one of our elementaries, and this is true of our other buildings also, but I was just focused there, has a wellness objective and something that they've accomplished in their buildings. And in Edgewood, their design this year was to look at scenarios and common behaviors that teachers experience in the classroom, and they look for ways to support the students and teachers so they can reduce behavioral incidents at Edgewood, because when kids are upset or when they're angry or when they're frustrated, that interferes with their ability to learn and to perform academically. Mill Valley and Naven happen to do similar things, working to reset zones of regulation. And this is an approach in terms of how kids are feeling and how they react in particular situations. And so you have, I'm feeling, hopeful, I'm feeling a little frustrated, I'm feeling something. So what's an appropriate reaction when you have these particular feelings? At Northwood, they are focusing on kindness, and they hope to focus and build on encouraging examples of kindness between students in their building. And up at Raymond, they've been working with ESC to, again, look at teacher behavioral toolbox, as they describe it, different strategies for supporting students with challenging behaviors. So some great work going on in all of the elementaries, trying to make sure that kids are getting ready to learn and are in a good state of mind to be able to absorb the information and enjoy the educational process. So.
And Matt?
I want to publicly thank our levy committee, volunteers, and chairs. I see some of them out here. You helped get us over 9,000 votes. That's impressive. Thank you. To those 9,000 plus people that voted yes, thank you for supporting our school system. It's disappointing it didn't turn out better for our students and staff. To those of you here advocating for yourself, your programs, your kids, we don't want to cut anything. We believe in everything that we're doing. I hope it doesn't come across as we don't value the work that you're doing every day, the staff members that were here speaking up. That is not the case. We couldn't be further from that. We know what you do is important. I do support our contingency plan. However, I do believe there's areas that we could possibly improve it for our students. And I invite our board members the opportunity to talk about that some, because we have a little time before those cuts get into place and/or the passage of a levy in May. As a former educator who's worked in 5 Central Ohio school districts, I can't tell you how thin we are as far as support for students, as far as staff and programs that are available. I've worked with 5 Central Ohio school districts. We are incredibly thin. There's nothing left to cut. It's amazing the opportunities we are providing for our students with the funds that we have. I could go from top central office down to the school level about resources, programs, and staffing that we need that other districts I've been in have had. And I invite any opportunity to speak to anyone from our community about that. I remain hopeful for the future for our kids, for our staff. I'm going to work and do my very best to help do my part to move our district forward with the passage of our levy and/or making any adjustment we feel is necessary on a contingency plan. I want to thank the community that stepped up for a lot of our athletes and/or co-curricular students. There's a lot of fundraising going on out there. Thank you for working to provide some opportunities for our kids. And I also want to encourage our athletic department, our MMA boosters, to remind them without our kids, those programs aren't possible. And so think about with your fundraising efforts, how you utilize those funds to help support our students. Although the levy failed, it hurt. But I'll tell you, after the failure of the levy, I've had more educational conversations with people from the community than I did before. And I encourage you all that have knowledge about our school funding and where we're at to take advantage of those opportunities within our community. If you don't know the answers, send them to me. If I don't know the answers, I will get them one. Let's all embrace the opportunities we have in front of us to listen and educate our community.
I want to thank everyone that came and spoke tonight and everyone that came to the coffee on Sunday. We appreciate all of your comments.
Again, I want to echo Nan's sentiments. Thank you all for showing up on Sunday, and obviously I've seen many of you engaged during the levy campaign, and I thank you for the work. While we did not pass, the fight is not over, and I know we have special meetings coming up in December, but I want to be clear, it's my intention as an individual board member that we will be back in May. I know that was a concern that many have. Are we going to delay? It's my position to come back in front of the voters in May, because that's the best shot that we have to prevent 30 staff reductions, to prevent the further harm of our pay to participate fees, and to possibly give our SROs, to possibly try to win back our SROs. I see at least 2 of our SROs in their district here tonight. I want to thank you all. Not only do I see you guys in the car drop-off line trying to move us parents along, I hear stories when my kids are at home, and I even see you guys at extracurricular events, like you just want to stay, like you don't want to go home and enjoy life or disassociate. You're there all the time, and our students see it, they value it, our staff values it, and we value it. And I know our community values it, despite the levy results. I'm dedicated to trying to make sure we bring back SROs in the upcoming years. And if there's a possibility from the city to give some infrastructure, I'll gladly take it. But that's for them, and that's we don't have money in our side of the aisle. If they want to offer something, I'll gladly take that support. Not to put them in an unfair position, because they also have to steward their tax dollars and meet their budget as well. So I am cognizant of that. Diane, I want to thank you for your service to our district. The educational model that we experience, that my kids experience, is because of your work and your labor. And when we go to different OSBA events and we learn about some of these innovative strategies that districts can take home, I'm like, I think we're doing that already. And I check, and we are doing many of these innovative educational models and programs for our students, and that's because of your leadership. And I wish you the best. You've had, I want to make it clear the air, you've always had our support as a board. And so I want to get ahead of any of those rumors. We've supported you, and we continue to support you. And if you change your mind, let us know. Lastly, though, I want to just give a message to the community that we're all in this together. I know we're probably tired of hearing that, with COVID, but that tagline is true. We cannot divide ourselves and point fingers at each other or different groups and say, well, they're not on our team, or they just don't support the schools. We have to find a solution to win. That's true. And I believe that if you ask most people, they do care about our schools. We got to figure out how to get them to say yes at the ballot box and turn out. But we all have a vested interest in our community. We all have a vested interest in making sure that opportunity is provided for our students and our own lives and our own future. And so there's a risk of pointing fingers or being bitter or being hurt. And I want to encourage that we're going to stay in this fight us at this table, you're going to stay in this fight. The teachers and the buildings, I know it's hard, but they're still engaged. They're still educating. And we can do this together. In May, we have another shot to before, we got to figure out a plan to win in May. So that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have a long-winded speech. I would just say that it would be hard not to second everything that was said tonight amongst my fellow board members. I appreciate your time. I would also say to you that we are listening to the community. I hope tonight was evidence of that. I have spent 2 full days on the telephone. I didn't know that was possible. Thanks to iPhone, the battery will hold up. But we are listening. That's why I'm hoarse. I have no idea why Jermaine's hoarse, but that's why I'm hoarse. So with that, I'm entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion, but I wanted to give it one quick shout out. I got to see 3 minutes of my son's first 7th grade basketball game. The 7th grade boys Monarch team won 60-11. I needed to end on a positive, but I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
So moved.
And we're ready for a vote.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes. Thank you very much.